This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.
Welcome, everybody, to the Amner Martinez podcast. And yet again, we have another special episode. This is with former lightweight champion, born and raised in Iowa, John Pretty Boy Roby. And him and Kathy Bruins got together and wrote a book about his amazing story. He lives here in Des Moines. He's from Fort Dodge. And I've been in Iowa since 1995. And why didn't I hear about him, So, his story needs to be told. And he's telling his story, obviously, via this book. And he was kind enough to invite us over to his place, and we saw his belts. And he's had such a journey. And this book talks about his ups and downs. And he was a champion, and not everybody can say that, especially in boxing. So, Iowa, born and raised, John Pretty Boy Roby is our guest, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Share it, comment on it if you know of him or if you saw one of his fights. And he's obviously still wanting to do things, so he's open for corporate events and book signings, and so he's somebody that I believe should be celebrated. And he's towards the last chapter of his life, and I believe, and many people believe, that he should be celebrated here in the state of Iowa. So I want to thank Joe Walsh. I want to thank Joe Walsh for coming. He's a longtime friend of John, and he tells us how their friendships evolved, basically suspending John when he was 44 and he was going to fight, and he suspended John and made him go through some neuroscience testings before he could fight again, and from there their friendship bloomed. So I want to thank Joe, and I want to thank Manny too. Our guy Manny, he is a big boxing fan, so he's the one that made this happen. So anyways, we got a lot of good conversation, good pictures, good video, so, and a great story from John Roby. So without further ado, here's the champion, the junior lightweight champion, John Pretty Boy Roby. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. So does it feel like you're at a press conference? Does it take you back?
Yep, sure do.
What, how many press conferences do you remember being in?
I was there, but I wasn't the main event. But I've been in a couple.
How does it feel being on a press conference? Did you do the
Pressure.
smack talking or
Pressure.
or were you the quiet person, or the other person was
Nervous, quiet. That's just me.
So you well, because some boxers are known for being the antagonizers and the
mouths,
you're just there to do the work.
Try. Do the best I could do.
So we're good, Abraham?
Yep.
All right. So thank you for joining us. I'm just becoming familiar with John, and it seems to be a remarkable story that needs to be told, and obviously there's a book with Katie Bruins that he did that you've been promoting the book, right?
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about the book real quick. So how did it come about that you met Kathy Bruins, excuse me? How did that come about? How did the book become a reality?
Well, a guy who I was with was rich. I was going to come back fight, and it didn't happen. I went up there, and I weighed in. They passed me, but then my license wasn't. They called back to Iowa Joe Walsh, and they revoked my license. You know,
They revoked your license?
well, yeah, because I had to get an earl, and I passed it, but not the right way. So it's this long story, but anyway, Rich said I had a great career, and so he said, I think your story need to be told.
Uh-huh.
So maybe 2 months down the road, I went back up there, and we had a meeting with Kathy.
Uh-huh.
So before Kathy, there was this one lady who was going to do my book story, and she liked it, but she passed it on, and Kathy met with us. So she thought, hey, you got a great story. So from there, Rich and her talked about it, and then she got, calling me, and like she would probably call me like every month, talk to me for like an hour, write stuff down, a little bit about what I went through. So that's how it all came about. So she's a great book writer, and I just want to thank Rich and the people who helped me get it published out there.
So, I mean, I've read something where you're like, have you had a life good enough to make a movie out of, or to make a book out of? And it seems like you have. And I'm trying to, we're going to try our best to like work our way through like your career into like from when you started until like the book. So when did you remember the first time that you're like, I want to be a boxer?
Well, first time I seen back then, say early 80s. My cousin was a great fighter, and then he was always looking at Sugar Ray, and I remember back then they had Howard Davis, Spink Brothers, and Sugar Ray Leonard. And I liked Howard Davis, but everybody told, oh, look at Sugar Ray. And that's how boxing, I got it in my blood, because my cousin was a great fighter, and then they got me enthused about it. So I was always watching him fight and watching him train.
How old were you when
16.
16?
Yes.
And you just like, did you walk into a boxing club, or
I
like
walked in. My cousin helped me out, trained me a little bit, and that's how the all story began.
Did you know that you were gonna eventually become a champion, or like that just kind of evolved with fights and with the wins?
Dedication. I never knew it, but it was just like dedication and determination, and I had a will. A lot of people didn't believe in me, but first of all, people can make me, or they can't make me or break me, but I gotta believe my own self. Because if I don't believe my own self, then the broken dreams ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. So did you do any amateur boxing?
Yes, I had like 36 and 6. I went to Golden Gloves, went to Nationals. We always got beat out the first round, and it was this I think pretty nice amateur career. There was this.
Did you do the Iowa Golden Gloves?
Yes, I got beat by the gloves by one of the ABFs. I got beat by the great fighter Michael Nunn. Michael second to none. Mm-hmm.
So you didn't win the Iowa Golden Gloves?
No, I won ABF and Golden Gloves. Well, ABF, I think a little bit better.
Oh, okay, I see.
You got to win the ABF, then you got to go to regionals. You got Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska. Then you got to go to ABF Nationals. So it's a little bit harder to get into the Nationals. But the Golden Gloves, all you do is win the Golden Gloves, then you go straight to the Nationals. So
you did your amateur career, and then when did you decide to? How old were you when you decided to go pro?
I believe 25.
At 25 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had my ups and downs. Went on 1 year to turn pro. It didn't work out, so I came back home, and hey, you always get a second chance. So
when was your second chance? When did you get a second chance?
Well, the guy from Wisconsin was Gary Pliner.
Uh-huh.
So he knew me because he used to live in Fort Dodge, and he was a coach up in Wisconsin. He knew Manuel Stewart. So his son fought for Manuel Stewart, so he told me, hey, John, told me I was pretty good. So I went up there with him for a while. So it all worked out, you know. he got me a shot at the IBO. So
Uh-huh.
he was good at first, but then he started selling me out. So
So
Is it-
how take me back a little bit. Like, so when you were a pro, and okay, and educate me. Like, what's the weight for the
For
title?
his?
Yeah, for
125 was it?
what is it? Junior lightweight.
for a championship fight, it's 130, but it can be anywhere from 130 to 34 for junior lightweight.
So how many fights did you have to win to like start to become a contender for like the championship?
I think about Joe. What do you think about 6?
Yeah, it was about that, and it really was more about the quality of the opponents at that time. So you had to get wins against winning fighters in certain circumstances, and then you get into their rankings, and that's how they pulled. And frankly, when John got his crack at the title, I've looked at all. I've studied John's career in great detail, and in my opinion, just looking back on it, they brought John down there because they brought John down there into the champion's home turf at his home, and so they were trying to set him up. They thought they had somebody they could beat. So John wasn't supposed to win that fight. Kind of a deal.
I see. So how many fights though? Like, so when you turn pro, and is it different nowadays? Like boxing now, is it more like strategical? They put you with like weaker opponents. They kind of build you up.
Yeah, it's
And
always been that way.
It's always been that way. So
Yeah.
So that's what they thought with John, that they were gonna put. Is it Roger
Bodine.
Bodine?
Bonine.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Roger.
Roger Bonine. So they were like, okay, let's get John Roby, and he should be an easy win.
Yeah, I don't know if they thought it'd be that easy, but they were definitely trying to match him against somebody that they thought that Roger was going to get the win. I don't think they thought it would be easy. If you would have looked at John's record at that point in time, that wasn't an easy out. But it was a championship fight, so you can't. Most state commissions won't approve just a garbage fight.
I see.
But so they didn't. I don't think they probably thought it was nobody could have looked at John's record and thought this is a cupcake or a gift. But by the same token, I think their idea was that they were going to find an opponent that Roger could win the title on.
How did you feel when they said, "Hey, you're getting a shot at the title. Start training"? Like, what was that like?
Well, I was pretty surprised. I waited. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Then finally one day, they popped me in the face. I couldn't believe it, and it was like really honestly, like a birthday.
Really? So like you must have been static. You must have been like, what?
I was waiting and out of nowhere,
They said you're next.
Yeah. It was just like, dog. I've been begging, waiting for all this time, and it happened. Like a dream.
So you start training. Tell us about the training. Like, where did you train? Like,
I trained here, but then I went to Wisconsin. I trained with Kenny Gould, his father. Kenny Gould was a silver medalist for the 88 Olympics.
Okay.
His dad trained me. I was training there and getting some sparring with him.
You lived up there while you trained.
And I was training in his gym, in his garage. Kept it like 95, 100 degrees. So I didn't really have any trouble making a weight. It was just really, really hard. It was hot, but I was used to it.
So as the fight like approached, did you feel ready? Did you feel like was there any doubt in your mind?
Well, no. I believe I've been waiting, and I was determined to go down there, and give it my all, and I was gonna make that weight. It was killing me, but I left here probably a pound over. But you know what? When I got down there.
Did you watch any of his fights?
No, I didn't have to. I just knew he was a good fighter, and I knew I could break him down.
What about strategy? Like, did you have a strategy?
No, I didn't.
You just went in the box.
I went in there to bang him and show him he can beat me.
What's your best What's your best punch?
Well, I guess my best punch being in shape. Body.
Okay.
Break, wear the body down, the hands drop. So, boom. But this trying to pressure box, just be smarter.
So you do. So was there a press conference for that one?
Yes,
There was?
he said I was wearing a fireman hat down there, and he said he's gonna put the fire out. I said, so he was overconfident, overrated. So what can I say? I just gave it to him.
So then, okay. So what? Let's walk us through. So like, the night of the fight comes. Where is the fight?
Well,
Is it Mississippi? You said?
no, it was in Dawson, Georgia. Well, 3 days for the fight. Well, anyway, I had to run out 2 days before the fight because I was hitting the scales by about 130 and a half. Couldn't get that last half pound off. But he was in there laughing as fast. Well, it looked like he's out there running because when I went down there about that time, the temperature's probably like 40 degrees. But
so you were just trying to lose like some
that
water weight,
that last half
sweat.
pound wouldn't come off.
Damn.
It couldn't come off. But I went in the showers that night to turn on the steam in the showers.
Yeah.
Probably lost nothing. But then I went to sleep.
Were you drinking water? Were you eating?
No, I
what,
couldn't eat
like
anything.
nothing, right?
I was just dry. I was dried out, and I still had a half pound by that morning. I hit the scales, made it. I barely made it.
So you made weight, and then how does it feel to be walking down, like, as they call your name, and you walking towards the ring?
Everybody looking at you.
Uh-huh.
I guess everybody had all eyes on me. So,
Are you nervous? Are you scared? Are you?
yeah, I was a little nervous, but I knew I had to give a good performance because, hey, the odds was against me.
So what? So it was how many rounds was the fight?
12 rounds.
12 rounds.
But it went 5.
Were you there? No. You were much younger than.
Yes, I was not there at that time. I studied it. I have watched it.
Okay.
I've watched the video of it, and John just broke him down with straight shots to the body. John just broke him down and walked him down, and I think stunned a lot of
like
people.
the
at that
full
time.
fight?
Yeah.
Is there a video of the full fight?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I've got it.
That'd be cool to have.
Yeah.
I had some progress on my phone, like the last minute.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my phone.
So at what point in the fight were you confident that you won, or was it a close fight?
No. I knew I was after second round. I hit him to the body, and
You could hear him.
then I knew I was confident. I was confident. I knew Kenny Gould said, "Go to the body." I was breaking him down.
With the left?
Left to the body.
Uh-huh.
I was focused on the body. He was. I don't think he was that strong, but I just punched the body. I was breaking his body down
Did he ever get you with a good punch?
Oh, he hit me, but I was just too strong. I was like trying to chop the tree down. Like John Henry. Break it.
Were you ever in trouble in the fight?
Oh, never.
No.
No. I was just I was like a Incredible Hulk, just strong.
You were a boxing him.
Yeah, I was just strong there. I don't know why I was so strong.
Did you see his face? Like, was there a time where you saw his face in like worry, like that he knew? Or?
Yeah, he was desperate. He was throwing crazy punches. He knew I was stronger of the two, so I was lying. Going for the kill.
What round did you know though? Like what?
I knew it. The first time we went down, when I hit him in the third round, I knew he started to run. I knew that
it was yours to win.
I knew, hey, he's running to survive.
So it went down to decision?
No, 5th round knockout. I knew.
Oh, wait. You knocked him?
Body shot.
Oh. So do you mind breaking it down for us, Joe? Like, what did he go down? What round did he?
Oh yeah, he went down. He went down several times, and man, it's been a while since I've actually watched that fight. But no, he went down a couple times. How many times did you knock him down, John? Was it
Twice?
Twice. Okay, and so and he didn't want to get back up anymore. I mean, he was just done.
Really? So he didn't come out of what round did he?
He wobbled at the end of the got up and he walked and he wobbled. And can't remember. It's been so long, you know. I remember hitting him and he would, you know, I was body, you know.
So what round did the fight end?
Fair for 6.
6th round.
Mm-hmm. He wobbled. He couldn't walk. He didn't know where he was at.
So, wait, I'm sorry, because I'm not very well educated in boxing. So, like, was a 6-round match or a 12-round match?
It was a 12-round IBO.
And you stopped him at 6 rounds.
Six round, correct.
Oh, so it wasn't a decision. It was like
No.
a knock. It was a
knockout.
KO, yeah. So what was the controversy then? Wasn't there like some chanting, like racial slurs that was happening?
Pop cans, Pepsi started in there.
What was that about? Do you know about that? About the situation?
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever been to a boxing match or any type of combat sports, when the hometown guy loses, it's never popular. But I think part of what happened there, and I've watched that video a couple times, I think they were trying to claim there was some controversy at the end of it, that Roger wanted to continue and the fight shouldn't have been stopped or something like that.
I see,
And then
I
that
see.
stuff tends to rile the crowd up, especially your hometown crowd.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, looking at it, they had brought John down there to lose, and you know, Roger. John gets a little, I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but he doesn't like to talk about the racial aspect because I don't think Roger was involved in that. I mean, Roger was a class act in that regard, and
so, gentleman.
So John, I've always noticed when I've talked with John and the subjects come up, John's that kind of shied away from that part of it because, but you know, fight crowds can be racist. That's just a fact.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Any sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Absolutely. And so I think, you know, that was all part of it. Hometown guy lost. Black guy came down there and beat the white guy. And so there was all, you know, that was all adding up.
Did you ever feel like in danger? Like,
well, a little bit afraid, you know, everybody, you know, all the people around drunk, throwing cans.
Yeah.
You know, obvious, you know. Why not?
Yeah.
I'm outnumbered. 1,000 or 1,001.
Right. So, and then on the book, it says that the other boxer, Roger, he got up and he said something to the crowd.
Oh, yeah, he just said, you know, he was a gentleman, great. He lost and he asked for a definitely for the first offense. I gave it to him, and
he said it was fair and square.
Yeah, he wanted to be first defensive. I told him I would give it to him. He seemed like he vanished.
So then the announcer comes out and he like says, "A new champion."
Mm-hmm. And they throw pop cans or whatever, you know. But Roger got him, took off from me.
Did they give you the belt at that moment?
Yeah, Roger's a class act gentleman, very respectful.
How did you feel when you got that belt around your waist?
I feel like, how would you feel if you got $1 million? That's
King
how
of
I
the
feel.
world.
Mm-hmm.
How much was your paycheck?
Not that much, couple of thousand.
Okay.
Not that much.
This is 1990.
93.
1993.
Mm-hmm.
So did you even sleep that night? What did you do after you left the
Well, you know, it's drug county. You can't get beer. And, you know,
what?
But, it's drug county, but I got a couple beers from Roger. Roger Bonite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I don't know. Me and him get pretty good friends. I don't know.
He just got you beers in the locker room or something?
No, I went to the hotel. He brought me a couple beers because
Get out of here.
Yes, he did.
Wow, that's
He's a
awesome.
good guy. He's a good guy. You know, he liked collard greens and all that soul food like me.
Oh, wow.
So he's a good guy.
That's
He
amazing.
invited me down.
So you were the king of the world that night.
Yeah, that night. But a lot of people I went to the store. They look at me like I need to get out of town.
And you just won the championship.
Yeah.
You just became
They didn't
champ.
like me. Yeah. A lot of people there didn't like me.
Well, let's talk a little bit about like boxing overall. And Joe Walsh. So you tell us about your friendship with John and how did that come about?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I was the director of our state athletic commission from 2005 through about 2020, and it was 2006. I was regulating John's last fight. What turned out to be his last fight. He didn't want it to be his last fight. Before we got on, we were talking a little bit about how we became friends after that fight. We actually weren't friends at first.
Okay.
I'm the guy who suspended John and said, John, you got to get some neuro testing, and we got to see what's going on here after that last fight. And then
2005, 2006, you said?
Yes.
That was like how many years into your boxing career? Like 20?
Yeah.
20 some? How many fights did you have under you?
What do you think, Joe? 36, 40, 45?
I'm going to say more like 40, 45.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was getting up there.
Yeah.
And I was surprised when I saw John on the fight card, because I knew John. I knew who he was. Most of the boxing people in Iowa know who John Roby is.
Okay, I see.
And I saw him, and I'm like, John, that can't be John. That can't be the same John Roby. I'm like, he's 44 now, and I'm like, but I get up there, and it was at the Delaware County Fairgrounds in Manchester, Iowa, and it was 105 degrees out in the shade that early evening, and so I go, I check out all the fighters and look at and they had John matched up against a young guy in his mid-20s, a really tough local Iowa fighter, another good guy, and I'm like, and who came in to fight overweight a little bit. He was bigger than John, and I thought, man, I don't know, this is matching a guy in his mid-20s up against John in his mid-40s. I'm not sure about this fight. I'm checking it out. I go over and check it out with the doctor. I check it out with John's team and check it out with the other fighters' team, and we had the fight that night, and I thought, man, it was hot, okay, and it was what was happening was there was condensation in the ring between every round. Because it was so hot, as the sun started to go down, it get wet. So we had a kid in each corner with a towel, and they'd go in and try to towel it off, but by the time 20 seconds a round is going, it's back, it's all wet again. And so the fighters are slipping in there. It was not a great look for Iowa boxing, frankly. But Jeremy March was the other fighter. He knocked him down a couple times in the second round. By the third, fourth round, and John said he slipped. I mean, he did get tagged, but it was a slip, And by the third and fourth round, John is chasing him around the ring, and he couldn't get his punches off. And if he'd been able to, by the fifth round, there's no question he would have gone down if John just could have got the punches off. But I talked to the doctor afterwards, and I said, we need to. John's had a long career, and he's been in a lot of hard fights.
Right.
He's been in there. He's fought guys like Mayweather. He's fought world-class fighters out there. And so let's see what's going on. And that's when I put the suspension and said, let's get some more medical information here. And
you didn't like that.
Hey, I didn't like it, but they knew they was looking out for me.
Right.
What can I say? Better be safe than sorry.
So
you got mad.
You decided to put a suspension, basically, and wait until.
Yeah, what we did at that time, we followed Association of Boxing Commission guidelines, and they've got guidelines for getting more medical information and getting questions answered. And unfortunately, I think previously they hadn't done that. They hadn't looked at the Boxer Severity Index to determine whether John should keep fighting or not at that time. And as we got some more medical information, I just said, and ultimately John came to the conclusion himself. Ultimately, John said, you're right. I'm not. But that's what the commission is there for, is to protect fighters like John, who, he just wants to fight, and he can fight. He was fighting a 25-year-old guy. If they'd have matched him up in fair fight, John would still have been beating people in his mid-40s.
Yeah.
But that's not the way that's not the way the game of boxing works.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
And so, they were putting him in, but ultimately the commission is there to protect fighters who have a heart of a lion like John does, protect them from themselves and make sure
that was your last fight then.
Definitely.
Yeah. You would get in the ring right now, right? If they say.
Man, I think I could, but I wouldn't.
Well, when John told the story about his book and how the book got started, he had gone up to Michigan, New Holland, Michigan, to fight. And that's when they called me and said, "Why is he on the suspension list? What do we got to do to get him off the suspension list?" And I said, "Hey, John knows exactly what he's got to do to get off the suspension
There
list."
was a Vegas belt.
And
I would beat the guy.
and he probably would have, and that's tough for a commission because you got a guy and you're stopping their livelihood, by not letting them have their license. And I don't like doing that, but at the same time, that's the job of the commission.
That's how the friendship kind of the beginning of you two becoming friends. So it's been almost a couple of years. It'll be 20 years, and you guys have been.
That's right. And what happened was I looked into John's whole career after this. I knew who he was to begin with, but I really took a hard look at it, and I said, "Hey, we've got this thing here in Iowa. It's we've got something called a Lifetime Achievement Award. We hadn't given it out in forever, and finally I decided this is a career that's worthy of taking a look at the Lifetime Achievement Award." And we got the commission together, and we all took a look at it and said this. So John got the first Lifetime Achievement Award in the modern era here from the state of Iowa for his
from the Iowa
Athletic
Commission.
Commission. Yes.
Oh, how did you feel when that happened?
Surprised?
Why surprised?
The surprise. Definitely no reason to say. Maybe they thought I was the guy should have got it in. Hey, they give it to me, so I appreciate it.
Can I follow up on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
I think. So I'm going to say this. I think boxing and combat sports in general is. I hate using the word corrupt because there's actually so many good people in combat sports, and I don't want to make it sound like it's old. It's all horrible, but it is corrupt, and it's been corrupt for a long time. And what happened is after John won the title, he had people in the industry that used him. They used him in various ways. They put him in what John really needed after he won that title. What he really needed is an outstanding manager who was looking out for his interests, and he didn't have that.
Right.
And he got in with promoters and other people in the industry that really used him. It messed up his career. He also had an injury outside the ring that was very significant and caused further damage. And, he's had a lot of wear and tear over the years. But I think John wasn't expecting it because he had gotten used by the sport of boxing. He'd been used by the sport of boxing. And kind of after he won that title, kind of torn up and knocked off to the side. And so I think he was a little surprised maybe that there were people in the sport that really did recognize what he did for the sport and what he contributed still, even after all that occurred.
Yeah.
At least that's how I hope you feel about it, John.
Definitely.
So the reason why this is kind of coming about is because Manny, our partner here, he ran into John at the gym, and Manny's a big boxing fan, and he's like, "Hey, I ran into this guy, and he started telling me." I'm like, "What? I don't know." And I've been in Iowa since '95. I guess the UFC kind of overshadowed a lot in the last 15 years, but so we wanted to see what your boxing, what you think about the boxing right now. Who was your favorite in the back? You were kind of mentioning who was your favorite boxer. So I guess let's start off with I don't know. Go ahead. You have
So I've been a boxing fan since probably the 80s. It was my first fight that I saw live on television was Hector Macho Camacho from Puerto Rico against Julio Cesar Chavez. And since then, I can't remember. I'm aging myself right now, so I can't remember how old I was. But that was my first. Boxing match. Do you remember? Did you ever follow Julio Cesar Chavez? Mexican.
Yeah, I fought on his undercard. Good guy, down to earth. Don't speak very good English. He smiled and shook my hand. And the time when I fought there, walked in the door, they would shoot. It was Macho time. I was in camp with Camacho, Don King. They're like me and you, put pants on. They go to the bathroom the same, so they're no different. Just
average people.
Average people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically I came out. I was working out at the Y here downtown to follow what Amner was saying, how we met. And I do boxing fitness in Austin, Texas, Mayweather Boxing Fitness in Austin, Texas. And I had a Mayweather T-shirt, and that's how he stopped me. He's like, Mayweather. Randomly, I have somebody random just stop me and say, oh, I found one of the Mayweathers. I'm like, okay. And he told me about his book. I looked him up, and first, I think I was in a hurry, trying to get out, go home, or, just got out of the gym. And then later on, I'm like, oh, I should have got his number. So I kept going back to the gym, and then somebody told me, somebody supposed to give me your number, but I think they gave me the wrong number or an old number that you had. And I was hating myself because I didn't, get his number the first time. And then later on, I saw him again, and then I saw him outside. I stopped my workout, walked all the way outside, and then, like, yeah, you remember me? He's like, yeah, you're the good memory, because he's like, yeah, you're the guy with the Mayweather T-shirt. Like, yep. So speaking of that, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What is your opinion on Floyd calling himself,
What's my opinion on Floyd? Great fighter. No comment.
No.
Why? Why not? You gotta tell us what you think.
He calls himself the TBE, is it? The best ever?
Well, Floyd's just different. Floyd's a different person. I don't know what Floyd do. I don't know how he sleep. I don't know what he eats. But he's Mayweather.
So stylistically, who's your favorite boxer? Like, is it?
My favorite. I got 3 or 4 favorite boxers.
Who are they?
My number 1 fighter is Sugar Ray Leonard.
Okay.
Number 2 is.
Why Sugar? Let's go with him first. Why him?
Fast hands, sweet. Cheers. Good talking. Unique. Class act.
Okay, and then after Sugar, who's your next?
It's sort of hard. Maybe Camacho and Aaron Pryor.
Aaron Pryor.
Okay. Yeah. So those are by. It seems like you're on the more character, because you said Sugar Ray it is a great guy.
Yeah.
But then who do you think is the best ever? Then what's the?
I think the best ever is Muhammad Ali.
Okay, I agree. I agree with you. Why him over Mike Tyson? Because that's the big debate.
He gets your number. He plays with your mind, and he's a great dancer, fast hands, and he's hard to hit. He's rope-a-dope you. Tyson doesn't use his. I can't say Tyson's a good fighter, but if you get Tyson out of his game like Douglas did, you can beat Tyson. Smarts, you win the fight. Intelligence.
Gotcha. Now, but what about in modern era right now? Who is your favorite active boxer?
Right now, the little lightweights, I guess, Shakur Stevenson and Devin Haney.
Okay. Yeah, I think we talked about two. I can't remember it was after or before, but we talked about Terrence Crawford going against Earl Spence. And
I think fight 2 is going to be a total different story. I believe it's going to be closer. I believe Crawford will win, but
really, it's going to be closer.
I think
this one was like a debak.
I think 154 pounds is going to make it a little bit different because they say that Spence was dried up, but then you got to look at this on this side of the fence. Crawford's going to be stronger. He's putting the extra muscle on, so I still it's going to be a closer fight. But
you think Crawford still wins?
Crawford's going to win.
What about what do you think about Canelo?
They don't want him.
Who doesn't want him?
Nobody.
You think Canelo will?
I think he'll walk through everybody.
You like Canelo then?
I can't say I like him. He's a future.
But you like him to win.
Yeah, he's a great Mexican. We got a lot of great Mexican fighters. I think the best one ever will be Julio Chavez.
Julio Cesar Chavez.
Unstoppable.
And Salvador. Yeah.
Best fighter, I believe. one of the best fighters in history.
Yeah.
Who's the greatest heavyweight? Muhammad Ali. then?
Ali,
Ali.
then I believe George Foreman.
George Foreman.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the greatest? What's the next one? A light heavyweight?
I'll tell you, Spinks.
Okay.
Spinks.
Michael Spinks.
I don't know. Do you familiar?
Yeah.
What about what's the next one?
What do you think is the best weight? Like I always believe it was welterweight. You know, like Oscar De La Hoya reigning there.
I think the best weights was back then welterweights, but now it's a lightweight.
Yeah. We have a lot of
Classier acts.
Yes, we have a lot of lightweight competition and talent. You know.
Mhm.
What about out of the big? What were they called? The big four? Manos de Piedra Duran, Sugar Ray Leonard,
Oh, I forgot.
Marvin Hagler.
Oh, I forgot.
What's the other? What's the fourth one? Who's the fourth one?
Tommy Hearns.
Tommy Hearns.
Oh, I
Out of those four, who did you like the most?
Ooh, Ray Leonard. Ray Leonard's always my idol. Then Tommy Hearns, long reach, big hand, big knockout. I was surprised that Ray Leonard beat him, but Ray wasn't supposed to win that fight. He had heart. What got Ray to the 14th was heart. You're blowing it, kid. You're blowing it. And if it wasn't for that, Tommy would have beat Ray. He was killing Ray the whole fight. Shut that eye.
So boxing is like sports. I mean, I guess a lot of sports, but boxing is one that's closest to like parallel to life, right? Like you get literally beat up, you literally get knocked down, you literally have to get up. Tell us about how you compare. Tell us about a time that you got knocked down that you remember that you can kind of like put together with your life, or like kind of like a metaphor of how life is. Is there a knockdown where you were down and how did you get up? And tell us about that if you remember.
Well, in sparring, I got hit so
When you were
hard.
sparring?
Yeah, I was in sparring, got hit so hard, man. I didn't see millions of stars, like not real true stars, like flashes. And I didn't want to get back up, but I got up and I quit the sparring practice that day. Because, man, you don't know what it feels like. When you see them stars, them flashes, it's like, that's all you can see for like 20, 25, 30 seconds.
Really?
It's lights, white lights. Like, how many lumps? One or two? You know, like you see the cartoons?
Yeah.
When they run into a wall, they see flashes.
Yes.
All you see a big old round circle, all you see is lights.
Yeah.
Lights. That's all you see.
So in sparring, you were getting hit like that. Is that what you
Oh,
said?
yeah, I seen stars.
What about inside a match that you remember being?
I never got hit. I get hit in the stomach, and, man, it's like kidneys.
What would you prefer, a hit in the head or a hit in the kidneys and the liver?
In the
shot?
head.
You would prefer to get hit in the head? Why?
Yeah.
What happens? What's with the body? What is
Well, you
it about
bleed
the body shot?
inside.
Huh?
You bleed. Kidneys bleed.
Oh. That's
Mhm.
why a good body shot, you can take somebody down.
Mhm.
What advice would you give like young boxers?
One young advice that I give to them was, if this is what you want, you gotta be serious, because boxing it's not a play game. It's serious. It's deadly. You can take somebody's life, and if you're not training right, you can go in there and you can destroy your life. You can come out with slurpiness, blindsided, and there's just a lot of things. It's very dangerous sport. You gotta take it serious. It's not no horseplay game. And another thing is, if you want to do this, you gotta be serious. You gotta give 100%. You gotta be dedicated to the sport. Because if you don't, you can go in there, you could be a victim. You will be a victim. You'll be in your grave early before you know it.
Yeah, somebody said you can play football, you play soccer, but you don't play boxing.
No.
Which is
Brain
crazy.
damage.
That's one of the things I think I always admire, and maybe I didn't get the opportunity, or maybe I didn't want it enough. But you know, I admire the boxers and the boxing sport because of, you know, your body. You know, you got to treat it like a temple. You know, so you know, obviously I go out and have a beer on the weekends. I don't think I would be doing that if I was, you know, boxing. And you know, your diet, your conditioning. You know, you got to be cigarette free.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
and
Sacrifices, man.
Tell us about that. Tell us about your dedication and like the sacrifices that you had to make.
Dedication, running. You have to run so much. You have to eat the right proper foods. Sometimes you can't eat, so man, your stomach grumbles. You gotta know what you can eat, what not to eat, what to drink, not to drink. The proper rest. Not going out hanging around your friends. Ladies, no nightlife. It's like
Were you
Yeah.
strict with yourself when you were like preparing for a fight, or did you do some partying in between?
off and on partying. Why not? You know, you only live once.
life's too short.
I was strict sometimes.
At what point did you like? Let's say the fight was 8 weeks from now. How long were you? But like, did you party within the 8 weeks, 12 weeks?
When I went to fight for the title and training up to Wisconsin, I had to be in bed at 10, 9 o'clock. You wouldn't let me go out and party. I trained twice a day, and I couldn't get out of it. You know, he made sure. So I was getting babysitted. Hey, that's what it takes sometimes. Put your foot down on a great fighter, and you got a potential. You got to watch him, because if you don't, he's gonna complete a lot of errors. He's gonna make bad choices, sacrifices, chase women out there when you shouldn't be doing that.
So nowadays you're out kind of promoting your book and selling it, and you do signings. What else do you want to do, John? What else is up?
Live and see tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want to see tomorrow. I want to see Thanksgiving.
You've had a very interesting life. I mean, you've met celebrities, you've met other boxers.
You met your idol, Sugar Ray Leonard, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
How was that?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you had a good conversation with him?
Oh yeah, we got pictures, took it together. He told me one time he was probably married to a Roby. She said she was probably my relation. Roby, yeah, he was married to Roby.
Who was your favorite person, like famous person that you met that you took away a good experience from?
What do you mean, like recall backstep on that? What do you mean? What kind of person?
Oh, like a celebrity. Like, did you meet anybody famous that they made a good impression on you, or that they gave you some good advice or some good?
Not really. I never really met. I just met like celebrities such as boxers.
Okay.
And stuff like that. I met Pernell Whitaker. He's an alright guy. But
Pernell Whitaker. I saw him fight.
Holyfield. Holyfield. So. Pernell so. Two different people.
What's a fight that you're looking forward to see in this next in the near future? What's a good fight that you're like, this would be a good fight?
I think Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis.
Oh, that's a good one. Who would you take on that one? Shakur?
Tank. He hits so hard. Tank.
What if they can make Tank Davis and Haney?
Tank.
Really? Okay.
Haney's a good runner. Shakur's been calling him out. That's why he went to 140. But I'm sort of beginning to think Shakur, she's getting cocky. But
what about Pitbull? Is it what's his name? Is he in the conversation?
Oh,
you know,
Pitbull?
that was a tough fight for Tank Davis.
Oh, Devin Haney don't want the. You know what? They asked Shakur to fight him. He turned down Shakur. Everybody's running from Shakur. Stevenson, Frank Martin, they all running from Shakur. Nobody wants him. But he always won the vacant title. He beat that one guy. But now who's next in line for Shakur is I think Frank Martin want to fight him, but they give him a chance. But he's still chasing after Devin Haney.
Yeah. What about heavyweight? Usyk is about to make a deal, or I think they just finalized with Fury, Tyson Fury.
Yeah, I ain't really watching much of the heavyweight.
Oh, the heavyweight, gotcha.
You know, but
Why not?
That's not my weight, and I don't recognize
okay.
it. You know, I like lightweights.
Yeah.
What do you think about the whole like phenomenon of like MMA fighters coming over and boxing, and like what do you make of all that?
Well, I tell you what, I give MMA fighters respect. They got the natural takedown, but for the hands upper, they don't have it. But if you let a fighter fight a MMA fighter, I give a MMA fighter the edge by takedowns. But if they're boxing, give it to the boxer.
Right.
So anybody that's coming over to boxing, more than likely they're probably gonna lose.
They're gonna lose, but if it's takedowns, I give it to MMA fighters.
Right. So, Joe, what? Tell us about the boxer that kind of, like how you met John, basically suspending him. Like that's kind of a thing that happens, right? Like boxers tend to like box until they're literally told no by commissions or something. You were with the Iowa Athletic Commission for quite some time. Did you see that a lot?
Yes. Yes, I did. And it's not just in boxing. You're starting to see it in MMA now as well. The MMA fighters just not. And that's why. And that's one of the things I'm concerned about with these transition to other sports is that you got to take into account the whole picture. And they got this bare knuckle that's on the rise.
Right,
the bare knuckle boxing. You see a lot of MMA fighters transitioning over. And they're getting, and you get guys in their late 30s, early 40s. You got, I'm forgetting his name, the guy from Omaha fighting at 50 and winning fights over there in bare knuckle. But these are guys who've taken a lot of punishment in their Houston Alexander was the fighter I was thinking of, and they've taken a lot of punishment in their sports.
Still going?
Yeah,
Wow.
had a brutal knockout. I think last year knocked out his opponent, their fighters are when you find somebody like John who's got the real heart of a fighter, that's what they know how to do. That's how they want to get in there and fight, And at some point, the commission's job is to step in and say, you know what, it's time. And it's hard because, like I say, you got some of these fighters now. When they get older, they got a name. Now they're getting the biggest paychecks of their careers. They got paid peanuts. John wins a title fight, and as you heard him, it wasn't that much money
Right.
for the time. And now when they're later in their career, they got a shot at this big money, but the wear and tear on their body that they've already had, combined with what they're going to be taking in their late 30s, early 40s, it's just somebody has to weigh that, and somebody has to step in at some point and say, we got to do something about this. And so that's the job of the commission. And what I'll say, you guys were talking about conditioning and John's. One of the main reasons, there were three things we looked at when we gave John that Lifetime Achievement Award. Number one, when we were looking at the characteristics, number one is he was a true professional. And that's hard to find. When he showed up for he showed up at age 44 at a local fairgrounds up in Delaware County, Iowa. There was no question. He was the fighter who was in the best shape. He had taken it more seriously than anybody else. Other guys there trying to get ranked, other guys there trying to build their records and get big money fights. John was the one who showed up. There was no question he was in the best condition of everybody there. And it showed that night. And so it was his professionalism. It was the fact that he's got a heart of a lion. And when I say that, what I mean is he's just a fighter at his core. That's what he is. And then the third thing is that John is just a character guy. I mean, he's a good character guy. And so it was those three things that convinced the Athletic Commission to give him a
What do you
lifetime
think?
achievement.
What do you think it's fair for, or what should John or what can the state of Iowa can do for John to celebrate him more? Is there anything else that you kind of foresee or hope?
Well, number one, what I think needs to happen, and this isn't something the state of Iowa can do. This is something that the sport has to take this on, and that's that there has to be pensions and health care for fighters, and that's something that it's bigger than the state of Iowa. California's trying to do it. They've got a pension system for their fighters out there, and it's great. The Association of Boxing Commissions has set up a charitable fund for fighters, but that's not what it should be. It should be something that you pay into and that boxers pay into to create a real trust fund for fighters, and that they can get pensions and health care. And that's just a matter of making the promoters pay a little bit of money out of these and having a system set up for that. So number one, what I would say is that needs to happen. Number two, each state commission ought to have, what would be great is have a true Hall of Fame. And, smaller states like Iowa, we can't, there's a lot of planning. There's upfront money that needs to go into something like that. But if we had a true Hall of Fame here, we could celebrate fighters because John's not the only one. There's other great fighters that came out of Iowa that deserve that opportunity to be recognized in that way. Right. And there's been a couple efforts to start that here in Iowa, but it's never gotten off the ground.
I think also, going back to the funding for the pension and the healthcare, I guess maybe the one thing that I never liked about boxing is that we have all these associations, WBO and IBO, and if they could, pitch in and actually, do that, I think that would be a game changer. But obviously, that's
what are the odds of that happening?
Yeah, that's all. I mean, that's the money cow or cash cow, whatever you call it. But so yeah.
Yeah, and that's always been the knock on boxing is you got the sanctioning bodies, and of course the model in MMA is completely different.
Correct.
Where the promoter has all the power and all the control and authority on everything, whereas boxing is a boxer-driven sport, but it's driven by these sanctioning bodies and makes it quite a bit different. But at the end of the day, it really is actually something that's it's completely doable. If people had the will to do it, it's a matter of getting the promoters and the sanctioning bodies to pony up and to put money into a fund like that. And that's where, what I would say as an old union guy is that boxers ought to have a union, and they ought to be, the way other professional sports athletes do, and go negotiate for that and negotiate something that's fair. That would take money out of, the big money, these mega fights. They would have to set a portion of those funds aside for all boxers. You have to meet certain criteria, but it'd be for all boxers to share in that. And because what happens now is the boxers at the top get everything, and then there's all these other fighters out there who make the sport happen. Right. True professionals who make the sport happen, and they get done with their careers and got very little to show for it.
We made it happen.
So what's your message? I mean, you have people like Joe that look out for you, and they're very good friends of yours. And you're signing books for fans that you're like gaining with this new release of your book. Do you have a last parting words?
No, I'm just gonna go out there and do what I think is best. I'm gonna go out there and do what I think is best for the boxing. Sell my books, promote myself, and tell about my story. Tell them about the crooks and the cons and the Jews. I think everybody need to know what's really going on in boxing. It's not what you think it is. Not what you think it's to be. It's just it's a lot of politics. It's who you are, and you gotta believe me. You can't trust anybody. There's cons out there.
Is there a specific situation that you want to kind of go into detail that happened
No, I was just too trustworthy, and my career is over, and I want to pass it on to the next guy ahead of me. You got to watch out for yourself. And boxing is what it is. I can't change the past, what happened, and I'll just go ahead and live my dream.
What's a good advice that you would give a boxer that as far as management goes, not in the boxing or dedication, but as far as managing their career, what's good advice that you would give them?
There's nothing really, but I could say just watch them. watch them, see how they guide your career, see if they give you things, not just from taking from you, but giving you. And that's all I can say to boxers.
If I could pipe in here, John and I have talked about this some, and if I do get a chance once in a while to talk to young fighters who are coming up, and I've drawn a lot from John and my experience talking with John, and what I would say is, trust your gut, and if something doesn't feel right, if you feel like you're getting down there and something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And so trust your gut. And number two, you've got to have somebody you trust in your corner. And you have to really trust them and know they're looking out for you. And then you have to listen to them when they talk to you. Yeah. And because, you get, sometimes I've seen people, they got good people in their corner. They got good people telling them stuff and the fighter won't listen to them. You know what I mean? And then other times you got fighters who they're ready to listen to somebody. They don't have the right person in their corner. They got somebody who's trying to take advantage of them, or somebody who's trying to get them to do something that's not in their best interest for them, for their own selves. And so I've seen it a lot both ways. But the answer would be trust your gut and have somebody in your corner that you can really trust and listen to them.
Yeah. Well, John, I want to thank you for making time for us, and also for allowing us to go and take pictures of your belts and opening the door to your place. You have an amazing story, and I want to thank you for making time, and hopefully we'll see you again on another book signing and whenever. I mean, how can people get a hold of you? Like if you're up for interviews, right?
Oh yeah, I got business cards out too.
You got business card, okay?
I give you a business card, didn't I, Manny?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll put your contact information when we post this episode.
On business cards,
And yeah, well, thank you for coming, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon, and maybe you can write chapter 2 on your book.
Yes.
Maybe chapter 3 or 4.
Chapter 3 or 4.
The stories ain't over until the fat lady say, what do they say about the fat lady? But anyway, my stories ain't over. It's just beginning.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Yes.
Champ. Thank you, Joe.
This podcast is brought to you by Infinite Resources, a local staffing agency connecting diverse job candidates in central Iowa companies.
Amplified.